Welcome, Amalga Maniacs and Retroids, to your very next installment of Retro Gamia, where I, the boy, wonderful Ian Wallace, am joined by those fellas from Retro Ridoctopus, and we're going to talk about games of old and games of new. This episode, we're going to be talking about Metal Gear, all the iterations of Metal Gear, and we're going to talk a little bit about our experience with the games, what we think about them, what we want you guys to know about them, so that you'll probably pick up a copy. And with that said, we are going to get into introductions, fellas.
Hello, my name is Boss Rush Mode, part of the podcast Retro Ridoctopus, or Ridoctopus, as you know, our boy wonderful Ian Wallace likes to say. I am 1/4 of the tentacled portion of that clan, and I'm going to take it away to two of the other portions.
Go for it, Joe.
Okay, well, I am Nintendo, and I am also 1/4 of the Retro Ridoctopus Cephala podcast. I also have a YouTube channel called Nintendo25. You guys should check it out. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It is.
I am. I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Well, you're supposed to be.
Oh well, good, because I am. I am
You're
8-bit
contractually
alchemy.
obligated.
Right.
That's true, but they didn't need to know that. Damn. Yeah, so I'm 8-bit alchemy. I'm also a 4th of Retro Ridoctopus. I have a YouTube channel, 8-bit alchemy, and I've been looking for some commission work as of late. I do a lot of retro NES style music. So if anyone's interested in hearing some of my stuff, you can check it out on SoundCloud or YouTube. And also feel free to hit me up if you're interested in an original piece. But without further ado, let's start talking some Metal Gear.
Let's dive right into it. As you know, we usually talk about the older iterations of the video game and the newer iterations of the video game. The fellows from Retro Ridoctopus are going to give you the lowdown on all the retro renditions of the game and tell you everything that they know about it. So, fellas, please take it away. Joe, wait a minute. Before you start, Joe, the hat.
The
like
hat,
that?
Joe.
You like the hat?
I love the hat.
You like it?
I do.
Are you jealous?
That hat is pure
A
fire.
little jealous, just a little bit. If
Well,
my head wasn't
fire
just,
emoji.
if my head wasn't just freshly shaved, I'd be very, very jealous right now. That is an amazing skull cap. Sorry to interrupt the show.
Well, thank you.
Well, let's also just take a minute to appreciate your Amalga Mania branded gargoyle shirt. I mean,
Right?
that is fly as hell, man. Where does that?
Badass.
Where does that come from? So
From the
beautiful.
Amalga Market, you can get yours. We have lots of different designs and all kinds of awesome stuff. We have a bunch of merch, so check out the Amalga Market, and you can get your own T-shirt as well.
Buy some Amalga merch.
Please
Do it, please, please.
Metal Gear.
Do it.
Metal Gear. So okay, so I'll start this off. I actually had picked up the original Metal Gear at a flea market back in high school, and I saw that somebody was selling it for like really cheap, and I'm like, don't they know that this is like the precursor to one of the greatest series of all time?
That's right.
Like, how did they just sell this for $5? So I picked it up, whatever, got my hands on it, and I was actually just revisiting it before the show, and man, I gotta tell you, that game is not messing around. It is.
Yeah, it's
So
tough.
just to set the stage for anyone who doesn't know, it is like a top-down kind of action game, but it's heavily focused on stealth, and you basically have this mission. Yes, the poster right there. Oh, I love the artwork.
I got the Snake's Revenge one too. Like
Snake's Revenge is
behind the
awesome.
TV, but
Yeah, I feel like, Joe, I think you could definitely talk about Snake's Revenge because I know that's like one of your favorites.
yeah, it's my jam.
It's your jam. But yeah, so this game is basically your mission is to infiltrate this base. You're trying to rescue a whole bunch of members of Foxhound, and you're trying to get in there and defeat the bad guy and get out. Now, the way the game works is you basically have a small health bar, and you're able to go through different screens and stealth around enemies and dogs and different things like that. But when you die, you start at the very beginning of the game, and no matter how far in you are. So, like, you basically are trying to learn as much as possible every playthrough, so that way you can do the next one better. I would be surprised.
It's the Legend of Zelda for the military age.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna mention it's kinda like Zelda.
Zelda barracks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also,
it
there's
is
also a ranking system too. Like you start with one rank, and then once you rescue enough hostages, you gain a rank and you get more health, and you can carry more ammo and rations and all that stuff.
which is really neat because they actually don't need you to rescue every hostage, but it gives you a reason to go and explore and then try and find more guys, which is really cool. And one of the other things that makes the game doable is, regardless of, if you die, any of the key items that you pick up along the way, you keep when you die. So, like, even if you made it, so far, but you got the gas mask and you got the gun or whatever, like, you'll keep it when you reset back to the beginning. So I was forgetting, like, just how unbelievably hard this game is.
Yeah.
Because you die super fast. The enemies, until you get the gun, which is kind of later on, you can only punch guys. And the other thing that makes it really tough is, like, when you leave the screen and come back, all the enemies have immediately respawned.
Yeah.
Right.
And what makes it crazy is every stage is laid out in such a way, like every screen is laid out so that you can approach it from like a specific angle to not get detected. But if you come into the screen from the wrong side, you'll just be directly facing an enemy and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. And even if you leave the screen, they're still coming after you through the other screens, and they try to kill you.
Not in the first one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The first one,
Snake's Revenge was like that.
In the first one, it resets, which is the only saving grace. But man, I'm telling you, like, the game actually like almost punishes you for exploring sometimes, because there's like, it's like notorious, but there's these trucks in the first level, in the first like area, that don't seem like you can go in them, but almost all of the stuff you need is in these trucks, and it's really not obvious you can go inside them. But once you pop inside of a truck, get the item, and then get out of the truck, all the enemies are back outside. So they're like all ready to kill you after you just picked up the binoculars or whatever. So yeah, I mean, the game is so hard, but
it's really hard.
It's super ambitious.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. I also want to point out that it's not the original version of Metal Gear. It originally came out for the MX2. Is it MX?
MSX.
MSX.
The MSX. So which is a Japanese computer.
Right, which Hideo Kojima was involved with, but he was not involved with the NES ones at all.
Okay.
He actually hates the NES games.
Yeah, because the MSX ones I would love to play. Because
I actually have it emulated.
Really? I was
at one point.
I was wondering if you could
get a chance to play it, Joe?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I mean, I didn't beat it or anything, but messed around with it for a little bit years ago, and I really liked it.
Okay. Yeah, and the translation is notoriously bad in the NES one.
Right.
I feel asleep.
I feel asleep.
Right, yeah. What was it? There was a truck one too. Was it the truck has moved or?
Yeah,
we has begun to move. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's really bad.
We have begun to move.
Yeah, it's like you walk in and it says, "Uh-oh, the truck have begun to move." It's like all of them, all of the truck. Apparently, truck is now plural.
Right. I mean, you would think. I mean, you would think that people who are translating the game, they'd be like, "Well, I know English well enough that this doesn't make sense. I should fix it."
That's right. That is one of the things. Like back in the day, translations were just like trying to be rushed out. They had like maybe half a year, if that, to get it done. And so the people were like, "Yeah, I don't care. That sounds ridiculous. I have like half a script left to go through." Right. And they didn't care.
I can imagine there being a deadline and.
A big time crunch. So, it's too bad. But there's actually some people have put out ROM hacks for the Nintendo ROM. If you download it, you can patch it, and it covers it up and it changes it so that the script is more legible, and it actually fixes a bunch of like the incorrect information that the characters in the game give you. So if you're able to patch if you have a ROM of the game and you're able to patch it, that is, from what I've heard, the best way to play it currently on the Nintendo, which is cool. But not everyone is into hacking, so.
Right.
All right, Snake's Revenge.
Yeah, Snake's Revenge. Let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
Snake's Revenge. First of all, I want to start by saying how amazing the soundtrack
Yes,
is.
yes, absolutely.
It's
Holy
also a
shit.
good soundtrack.
I mean, with the first Metal Gear game, I don't remember the music as much.
It was really
okay.
good.
Was it good?
It's good, but there's only
Yeah.
like 3 songs that you hear
Yeah,
most of the
yeah.
time.
Right, and they
Yeah.
were just like it played over and over. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
they were good.
yeah, they're really good. My favorite track on Snake's Revenge has to be the final boss battle with Metal Gear, which is like the absolute lamest boss battle I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
But the boss music, which doesn't fit the battle at all, is freaking amazing. It starts off really slow and then it picks up and it's like in your face
Yeah.
awesomeness and
It's like Nintendo metal.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is so good. And then with the final boss battle, you just shoot a remote rocket through this little maze while you're trying to avoid these barriers that open and close. And you have to go in a certain way, and then you gotta hit a certain spot on Metal Gear itself. Metal Gear itself is just standing there like a freaking prick. And,
Wow.
and it's so dumb. But anyways, the game itself.
Yeah, it didn't learn to roar like a dinosaur yet.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's an awesome game. There's a lot of card keys to go through, which is probably the most frustrating part in the whole game. It's figuring out which card key to use.
Yeah.
And finding them is also a bitch as well. And but I guess that's part of the fun of the game, just finding all these things. And you get like rocket launchers, machine guns, grenade launchers. You get a knife. You start with a knife,
which is better than a hand.
Which is better.
Right,
You can
nothing,
use your
right?
hand, but the thing is though, between using a hand or a knife, like if you knock an enemy out, you have a higher chance of getting an item like a ration or more ammo. But with the knife,
that's cool.
The knife, it's a one-hit kill, but you don't get it. You don't get anything for it.
That's kind of cool because, like, later on, not to jump too far ahead, but in some of the later games, that was true too. Where if you fought a dude and knocked him out, and then if you like grabbed him and shuffled his body a little bit, an item would pop out.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid used to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So
I don't know if they did that with the MXS version.
What's like the main difference between Snake's Revenge and the first one?
It's more the other version is more stealthy, kind of like with the PlayStation version. It's more like really stealthy. You can actually duck and crawl, and you can hide between lean up against the wall, and enemies won't see you or anything. So that's the main difference that I found with that version.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Rush, you want to get with the next iteration, which I think would be
Metal Gear Solid.
So it was Solid. There wasn't one in between Snake's Revenge and...
I think there was a Game Boy.
So we won't.
But yeah.
So actually,
has anyone ever played the Game Boy version?
I haven't. I never owned a Game Boy. I'm not big into portable games.
Portable games, yeah. Also worth mentioning is before we transcend past like the 8-bit stuff. So Snake's Revenge was not at all worked on by Hideo Kojima. That game was made by Konami.
Both those games were not made by.
Well. So Metal Gear was, but the NES port wasn't, I guess. But like the original on the MSX, is Hideo Kojima. But then Snake's Revenge happened because Konami went, Metal Gear was really popular. Let's make a sequel. And Hideo had already moved on to doing other stuff, and he had other projects working on.
And those were it's still Konami, but technically released by Ultra or something like that.
Ultra, whatever.
Ultra,
so
it was in combination.
Same thing, really.
Yeah.
So Konami was like, all right, we're gonna just make our own sequel because Hideo's not interested in this. And then there was a random chance encounter that Hideo ran into somebody he used to work with who was talking to him about Snake's Revenge, and he was like, I had no idea that Konami was making this game. That's crazy. And so then he decided to make his own sequel, which is called Metal Gear 2, and that only came out on the MSX.
Right.
And so that, from what I understand, is a really well-liked game. People love it, but again, it's sort of hard to play MSX games, so I've never played it, but it does exist.
I've honestly never even heard of that system
Me
until I
either.
found the
I'm
emulation.
gonna have to check it out too. That sounds pretty
No,
interesting.
I would like to actually find it and buy it.
Right,
Yeah, the MSX.
I mean,
I think it's like it's not a system as much as it was similar to like the Amiga in Europe, where it was like a computer system.
It was a computer, yeah.
It was a computer that happened to also have like custom software for it. So to buy an MSX is probably kind of expensive.
Right.
I don't know though. Let's consult eBay. But anyway.
Well, yeah, we'll ask our viewers as well if you have any information on where you can find or obtain an MSX or any specs on them that we should know about before purchasing. Please let us know in the comments down below. We would really love to, get some traction on this. It sounds like a good hunt.
Actually, before we move on to the PlayStation version, I want to also add for Snake's Revenge is certain levels where, like, say if you go into an elevator, the graphics change. Like, it's not a top-down perspective. It's more like a side-scrolling type thing. So you're like going up and down elevators, and there's certain levels where it's kind of like a side-scrolling thing. It's not the best part of the game, but at least they try something different.
Right.
And
where it's not as
where they go with it.
Top-down game, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Boss, you want to get into the PlayStation version?
I mean, I played it only like the one time way back in the day. I do remember liking it. I don't remember that much about it specifically, though. I didn't get a chance to really go back to it at all.
I loved it. It was
Me too.
one of my favorites.
I think that was the one that
sure.
really got me hooked. Was Solid, really.
Yeah. It was so different at the time because it was set up like a movie.
Right.
Especially at the very beginning. It's like
absolutely.
It's like, okay, you're playing the game, but there's credits going like you're watching a movie.
Right.
So it's like
it was
playing
very
a movie.
cinematic.
Yeah,
very interactive as well with the background and the other characters. It was groundbreaking. What Hideo Kojima did, it was amazing as far as you've played video games, you've played role-playing games, you've been interjected into the game, a part of the game, but it was different this time. You felt it was like you were a little more connected to what was going on and you paid attention to this story. I remember that entire story as if it was a movie I watched. I guess maybe because of the many playthroughs, but I definitely is one of the hallmark versions of the game. I would have to agree to that.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about the graphics for the first, we went from 8-bit,
I mean, at the time, it was amazing. I mean, I remember back to it now, it's painful to look at.
Oh, yeah.
PlayStation polygon graphics are not very pretty these days.
Right.
But
at the time, I remember thinking it looked pretty slick.
Yeah. It was really
definitely
good. And I love the whole Psycho Mantis part, where it's like he reads your memory card and he says what games you've recently played or whatever, or if you have saved the game at all. It's like
right, and they moved the controller as well.
Right,
he had a
player 2 controller in order to beat him. I thought that was
you had
amazing.
To figure out how to switch it.
Very unheard of.
It was really weird. I remember the first time playing through this game, and shout out to one of our group members and one of my best friends, Dewey Durrett. He owned it, and I didn't own the game yet, but he did, and I played a little bit of it at his house. And I was just like, oh man, it's a cool game, but I can't run through and kill everything. It's not.
Yeah, you gotta really change how you
we're the
play
type
a
of
game.
gamers that like to just continuously run through and destroy everything.
Right.
And
this is not Contra.
Yeah, but
I'll be right back.
Exactly, Contra. Yes, give us Contra.
Right. Yeah.
But for this game, it was you had to be stealthy. You had to be had to use finesse. You had to use misdirection. There was so many different things that made this game. It was just so not appealing to me when I first played it. And then I owned it and actually played through the whole game. And I was just in love with it because you did have those moments where you were the stairwell in the tower when you were going up to the snowfield before the chopper falls, and you were in a gunfight with all the genome soldiers. I lived for that.
Right. I remember it actually blew me away when enemies could see your footprints. I was like, holy crap! I got
Yeah,
this
yeah.
in mind now. I got to
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
focus on
Or
where
they
I gotta
can hear
think
you.
about what I'm
traversing around
going, what I'm
in the
doing.
environment.
Right, there was like a cone of sight, and they can hear
Yep.
you. It was a very, very tactical game. Like if you're in the wrong
Yes.
place at the wrong time, they alerted, and
Yep.
and it was
Yep.
always like it was like a buffet of bad guys that would come.
Oh
and
yeah,
it was-
like just
Yeah.
nonstop
they would
coming
just
at you.
nonstop. So you had
Yeah.
to you couldn't fight your way through, and
Right.
that's I think what made me a better gamer. Honestly, was I playing that game helped make me a better gamer because I took my time and I wanted to, and then you want to achieve some of the accolades that you find out about later, like going through without killing anybody or just knocking everybody out, and these are things that come later on in later iterations of the game. But Solid was like, I mean, for what it was a monumental game. And then obviously all the other games that came after the fact that it was definitely a hallmark version of this game. And Hideo Kojima knocked this out of
He did.
Park. He
I
did.
think it's by far my favorite project that he's worked on.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
And also,
Now,
I want to mention, the remake.
Yeah. Now I was about to bring that up because that is my Moby Dick of the Metal Gear trilogy.
It's
I have
the
not
best
played
version.
Twin Snakes.
I think it's the best version of
I bet
the
it
game.
is.
It's amazing. I
Okay,
absolutely love it.
I gotta try it. I've been thinking about emulating it, but at some point on my bucket list, Twin Snakes is like number 10 or 11. I have never played the game before, and I gotta get to it. So,
It's
Joe, I'm
awesome.
a little envious right now.
Highly
You
recommend
actually
Yeah,
had it.
for those of you who don't know, the Twin Snakes is a GameCube only remake of Metal Gear Solid, and it's super expensive and very hard to come by. Nintendo obviously
lucky.
came by it luckily and didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. But yeah, it's such a strange choice because the series had pivoted pretty much entirely to PlayStation by that point.
Right.
Yes.
But for whatever
Well, it became
reason,
an exclusive, and it became
he just made that one an exclusive for the GameCube, which was just like kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, definitely I've never played that one myself. And just to revisit Solid real quick, I first played that after playing the next main game in the series, Metal Gear Solid 2, which was my first game in the series. And so I played that, loved it, and then said, okay, well, what's the first one? And then I went back with a buddy of mine and we played through Solid. And so I didn't have that experience of like seeing it first. And even after playing the PS2 version, I still thought that that Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1 was amazing. And like the frame rate, like how smoothly all the like everything moves and like the action and everything, it's like very smooth. It's not choppy or anything like you'd expect on like an old 3D console. So yeah,
Real
that's
quick
a really,
before
really
we move on, Joe, I gotta ask: is the story in Twin Snakes the same? Because I know there has to be some differences.
The only difference that I noticed was that they added a first-person perspective, like
Okay.
with Metal Gear Solid 2.
So you got the
Where you
GoldenEye kind of perspective.
Kinda, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
Okay.
it's not like something that you have to use. It's like it's
Right.
just there if you want to use it.
Okay, cool.
But the story is the same. I think all the voice actors are involved in the remake as well.
Nice.
So that's always a good thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Meryl's
I
plot
thought,
Yeah,
I was gonna say
Meryl's
Meryl's
in
plot
it.
is still fantastic.
yeah, she looks much better. I mean, I also want to say the voice acting in this game is superb. It's
It's phenomenal. Yeah.
one of
Yeah,
the
it is
best.
really
I
good.
mean, there's a lot of shitty voice acting in video games, like
Right, especially in the PlayStation era, where they like
so
when they
bad.
first started like putting games on disc. It was like it was a pretty rough
terrible.
ride for a while. It's become charming over the years because
Yes.
it's so bad. But
Right.
Metal Gear Solid did have some really good voice acting.
They did an excellent job with hiring the right people, not
Yeah,
the homeless drunken people. Mega
Right.
Man, Mega Man.
Must stop Dr. Wiley, Mega Man.
Dr. Wiley.
Dr. Wiley.
So moving from the PlayStation 1 version of Metal Gear Solid and Twin Snakes for the GameCube, we get into Sons of Liberty, which I think for me personally, it kind of took an already amazing franchise and kind of just pushed it a notch up. Now, it was a little bit For me, playing through the game, I was a Solid Snake fanatic. I loved him. He was a great character for the first. I just didn't think they needed Raiden, but I
Right.
get that they were trying to do some.
They wanted to add an extra character and
right,
just
and just
Yeah.
make it more
just want to
interesting.
do a 2-player or co-op or something. Or so here's
And
this
Kojima's the
option.
kind of guy. Kojima's the kind of guy who he'll do something you don't expect. It's like, all right, Solid Snake, he's the guy. All right, we're playing as Raiden through like 80% of this game. What?
Yeah.
That's
Like,
that's
what's
Kojima.
going on? And don't get me wrong. I actually got as you all know, we play through most of these games on hand before we even talk about them, except for some of the versions we can't get a hold of or whatever have you. But I played through almost every version of the other iterations of the game, and 2 just it stood out like to me for some reason. It upgraded that or let me say it like this: it took the cinematic and awesome views from the first game, and it just cleaned them up and made them just look that much better. So even playing with Raiden and some of the other like idiosyncrasies in the game, it just didn't bother me as much. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through, and it was just because I mean it was just such a cool game, like shooting the bombs in that little red square and
Yep.
like just
Using the ice like the like nitrogen or whatever to freeze
Right.
to freeze the bomb. Yeah, it was
the
just
bombs.
it was such a tech and the gear in this game. By
Metal
this,
Gear.
yeah, exactly. By this point, like you're able to have certain weapons, of course, as Nintendo mentioned earlier. The upgrade from Metal Gear 1 to Snake's Revenge was pretty substantial. But by the time you get this Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear 2 Sons of Liberty, you have like automatic rifles, sniper rifles, C4, bomb spray, bomb detectors, all kinds of grenades and gadgets, and it's just an amazing upgrade as far as
you got adult magazines that you can put down and
Playboys
distract
to
soldiers with, and they just walk over and they're like, "Ooh, what's this?" And they sit down and they got the little hearts,
yeah, hell
the
yeah,
little hearts like appear above their head,
Oh my
and they're just
God.
like checking out this porno.
Now, and you can also stick the guys up. Like it was different where now before you could grab them in a Metal Gear Solid and choke them or break their neck, and then shake their body out for items. In this one, you can actually run up to them, point the gun at them, and like make them drop whatever they have on them. Sometimes the soldiers will do it, and sometimes they're like, no, like I'm not doing it. You have to shoot them in the leg, and it was just so awesome. Like it made the espionage part of it that much more real. And again, I can go into each and every version of the all the iterations after, but it was pretty much just that, like an upgrade and enhancement of what came before it. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. The story was just bonkers. Like it really took a 180 on everything that we thought we knew about Metal Gear, and then it just like made me feel like I didn't know anything. Like it made me feel like I knew nothing.
I couldn't get into that one. Like I tried to play it, and I was just not used to a survival game where you had to like hunt for animals and make sure you're not hungry and that you kept your like thirst up, and like there was a lot of survival game stuff that I didn't at all like understand how to really deal with. So I've always wanted to go back to that one. But is that like your favorite?
Really
or what are your favorites?
I mean all of them. I love all the Metal Gears, but that one for me, it kind of went from the whole tactical espionage, and it was like playing through a James Bond movie. Like it was literally like playing through like you really felt the secret agent feel that the espionage afforded, and it wasn't just like a military tactical role playing game. It really felt personal. Like you got to know Big Boss and some of the other his boss, the woman who trained him and taught him special forces. And then you kind of got to, figure out where these badasses, Liquid Snake and Solid Snake, where these guys come from, and Foxhound, and it just gives you a peek into where they all come from. So I think it just sets up later on games where they kind of took that same feel. Peace Walker, what was the one that came right after that? Because they didn't come out with 4 yet, Guns of the Patriots. It was Peace Walker.
The other one
Peace
for
Walker
the
actually came out after that. Came out after Guns of the Patriots.
I'm trying to think of what the other PSP one was.
That
Portable
one was,
Ops.
Yeah, okay, portable ops, yeah. And then there was there was portable ops, and then there was Sons of Liberty, and then Snake Eater, and then portable ops, and then Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, which I think by far is the best of all of them. I love that game so much. I think it's really honestly the best. It just has everything all the other games had, and it gave you kind of a closure to the Metal Gear saga. I would say a loose closure to the Metal Gear saga, and it wasn't as awesome as it should have been, in my opinion, but it was still an ending. And after decades, literally, of following this franchise, it was
right.
It gave us something where it wasn't just like Metal Gear 19, Snake blows up another nuclear facility. It was like they gave us some kind of ending, and then kind of went back to focus on the beginning. And I thought that was kind of awesome, and it felt great that they didn't just okay, we know the fans are going to buy it, so here, let's just give them another Metal Gear and another Metal Gear and yet another Metal Gear. And it was just like, no, we'll give them something different and give them a little closure. And that was awesome for me. And then you get into Metal Gear 5. Well, again, like I said, there was Peace Walker, and there was Portable Ops and a couple other ones on the portable.
And don't even get me started on Metal Gear Acid, the tactical card-based role-playing game.
I never played that.
I never got to, and they looked so cool. I wanted to go back and play those.
Now, was that on the PSP?
Yeah, both of them. There was 2.
Okay, I couldn't do I played the card one, and I was just like, what?
What just couldn't do acid?
What happened?
Wasn't there?
Man, you can't drop acid, dude.
Wasn't there like a Metal Gear Survive or something where it's like zombies?
That came after.
That was fairly recent as far as I know.
That's like 3 games later. Yeah.
Yeah, because they came up with an anniversary edition where it had all of them. It had
the Legacy Collection, I think.
Yes, I have. That's what I was using to replay the older games. And it has all the games on it. So, and it comes with Peace Walker and all those other ones too. So it was kind of awesome that they did that as well. So yeah, it was the Legacy. I found it a little hard to transition from the Peace Walker and all that stuff. Like the characters got a little funky for me, I think. In Peace Walker and Portable Ops and all that stuff, the Kaz, Raz, Daz kind of see Daz run.
I didn't play any of that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
It was like the characters got really weird, and it got kind of funky, and I didn't understand. And then they dropped the Phantom Pain on us, which, they gave you the short playable version of the intro to Phantom Pain.
Ground Zeroes, yep.
Ground Zeroes, that's the one Nintendo was talking about, Ground Zeroes, which I had a lot of fun playing that one too, but it felt very alien. I just had no idea what Snake was doing in the middle, or what Big Boss was doing in the middle of Afghanistan, or was this Snake, or what was going on? Are we going to get a continuation of the Metal Gear games, or are we going to get a prequel sequel kind of thing, or what was going to happen? And then
it was Kiefer Sutherland. Where the hell's David Hayter? What the fuck?
That really, and you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. That really bothered me. And don't get me wrong, I think
that bothered a lot of people.
Kiefer's great, but David Hayter's been Solid Snake for a generation.
And it really got to me that they changed the voice for it. And I know it's most people don't understand us nerds, but little things like that really throws off the entire, as you're playing through this game, you catch yourself saying, that's not Snake.
Right, this isn't right. This feels wrong. This is
it's like that in the music industry too. You have those diehard fans that if their favorite band, they change one member, fuck it, they're done with that band.
Done. Okay, so that's a good comparison then. Okay, all right, awesome. Yeah, I could see that parallel. It could really just mess the whole experience up for you.
Yeah.
And I won't say that that's what happened in this game, but it definitely made it different than what we're used to. And I played through it. It was a great game. I loved the boss battle.
I kept expecting them to say, "You're eating maggots," for some reason. It was Kiefer Sutherland. You're eating maggots, Michael.
Michael.
Anyway,
at least you could have called Billy finish the game. That would have been awesome. Everybody would have loved that as a little You know how they have sometimes when they're
Fans.
waiting and they're idle? That would be awesome if you put the Young Guns reference in. But I think that pretty much does it for all the iterations that I've seen. Oh, we forgot the Raiden game.
I was
Oh
thinking
no,
that
you can't
too.
forget that one.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I've never
You know what
played
else
it,
we
but it looked
forgot?
awesome.
You know what else
It
we
was
forgot?
Revengeance
We
or
didn't mention
something, right?
What
We
did
didn't
we
mention
mention?
the VR missions.
Yeah, on the PlayStation 1, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
true.
VR
VR
missions
missions was a
the
whole
bane of
different
my
thing.
existence.
Yeah, that was more like a training type thing, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but it was
But it was
pretty
a
cool.
lot.
I've
There
never
was
actually
a lot
played
of
it.
missions.
I'll tell you what.
It's kind of
I was
unheard
ready
of.
for Sons of Liberty after VR missions. That's for damn sure. But so what did you guys think of the solo Raiden game? What did you guys? I actually loved it. I thought it was.
I've
Pretty
never
loved
played
it.
it, but I've seen my brother play it, and the game looked amazing.
It really
It's awesome.
did. Yeah, it
It's,
really kicked ass as far as graphics are concerned.
It's totally
Story
different.
was, but it was an awesome game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first game I think I played from Platinum,
Okay.
Platinum Games, because they're the people who make like Bayonetta and they work on
right?
the
And they did
Transformers,
and
Extinction or whatever. Yeah, like
whatever it was.
they've been
yeah.
doing a whole ton of games, and they just came out with Astral Chain on the Switch and a lot of other like very like frantic, fast-paced action games. But Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a game that just like it oozes style in a way that I haven't seen a lot of other games do.
I would
maybe
dare to even compare Devil May Cry. I was
gonna say
it's on that same.
Devil May Cry is the only other game, maybe Bayonetta, but like that has that kind of flair. And man, the soundtrack is so good. It's like very high energy, like industrial, like techno metal kind of thing, and just the ability to like freeze time and take your katana and like dice every single thing in the environment into a million different shards and shit.
Points. Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh man, it was so cool.
Yeah,
that game is awesome.
I think that was like one of the standout things in that game was being able to do what you just said, slow down time and just like dice in any way you want. And I just
it's so satisfying. You just take a car and you just slice it like a freaking like a ham hock, like you're a delicatessen, and you just slice in the fucking
spiral it like a pineapple.
Why is Peter just slicing ham hocks? What is going on over there? Yeah, but it definitely was one of the most gratifying parts was that katana, and the high frequency blade in general was an awesome weapon that dropped in like Sons of Liberty, I think was one of the last weapons that you acquired, and you could switch it from lethal to non-lethal, and they just obviously had it as a weapon that he kept after he got
they went full lethal. For this one.
That thing is I don't think there's no non-lethal on the high frequency blade that he had. It was just like destruction or more destruction, like were the only two settings.
That game is awesome. Definitely worth that. I hope they make a sequel.
I really liked Raiden's design too.
Me too.
I thought he looked
cybernetic, and when they kind of brought him back as the second Gray Fox.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that they made him
look
that
like
character.
That. He didn't look like that before, right?
In
Sons of Liberty, he didn't look like that.
And he had like the gay, excuse me, but yeah, it looked kind of gay, gray hair.
He was like his design was.
I'm sorry.
How gay was it?
It was.
Don't forget your sandwiches. Here's your napkins.
I'm gonna slice you all up.
Joe, you cannot do that again.
You did straw. Just suck on that for a little bit.
Oh boy.
Derailed.
And that is how you open Pandora's box, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gonna get my revengeance on you.
But we're gonna get so much hate mail for this.
I'll show you my sneaking suit.
You can send all your hate mail to
snake.
Nintendo 25. So
I want to see my high frequency blade.
I would say that Raiden's hair definitely bothered me in Metal Gear Solid 2.
It was flamboyant.
It was like
it was very out there. And
Right.
It was like very flowy. It like wouldn't stop moving.
it was,
Everything you
was
did,
just
it was
so
like
involved. It was just like I just wanted to shoot it. Like I just wanted his hair.
get
to
out of
stop
here with your
moving.
damn
Can I use this sword to cut my own hair?
Right.
And I have been bald ever since.
That's the real reason.
I'm just
He played
kidding.
Revenge and is like, screw this.
But the design, I have to agree with both you gentlemen. The design thereafter in Metal Gear Solid 4, when he came back as the like Gray Fox version of the character, which I thought was awesome and made so much sense, and it actually made me love the character after the fact. Like when he came out in 2, I was just like, oh, why isn't somebody just blow this guy up? But after 4, I was like, yeah, I want to see what happens with this guy and how he develops. And he got his own game, so he actually became that popular that he had got his own game. So I thought that was kind of awesome.
definitely.
Tips and tricks. I think that these games are available online. So I mean, all the tips and tricks are available online. But I will give you the code to the first Metal Gear, which was D-Nice. If you put it in the passwords, it'll do a little something. It gives you, I think, all of the items or something like that, or it gives you all the items and all the key cards or
That's
whatever.
cool.
But check it out. It's D-Nice. Plug it into the password, and that's a little something something. And again, everything else is available. There's a whole bunch of codes for don't be afraid to go online and check them out. And if you want to hit us up or inbox us, I'm sure we can help you with any parts you're stuck in as far as strategy is concerned. Strategy is a must for this game. If you are not about that strategy life, don't play Metal Gear. You are going to be one frustrated gamer.
I want to mention one specific thing that I think is the coolest tip and trick in like any of the Metal Gear games was actually from one of the ones I never played, which was Metal Gear 3, Snake Eater. I don't know if you know what I'm going to go for here, but so there's this boss called The End.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say with this.
Yeah, so this dude was like this old, like, sniper. And he like sits in a wheelchair and he, you end up having this boss fight with him later on in the game, whatever. But there's one like section of the game where you're crossing this bridge. And if you look off to the, to the far right into the distance or whatever, you can actually see The End with some other people, like, sitting there talking to them like in a camp or whatever. And if you take out your gun, and you take out your sniper or whatever, and you just shoot him in the head from that point, he will die, and you will completely negate that boss fight from happening later.
Yep.
Which is like
I have played through this game like 700 times, and I never knew that, and that was one of the most frustrated bosses in the game. Thanks for nothing, dude. Tim. Where were you?
What did you ask me? Like, you could have hit my inbox.
Oh, man. I mean, I played through this game like 400 times, and I never knew that. I mean, and they got like there's a directional microphone that you use to like be able to hear the old bastard, and he snores, and then you'll know where he is by, like, I had to like fine-tune my hearing to be able to beat that boss battle. This guy's like,
it made you a
just
better
shoot him in the head
gamer
as soon as you come on the stage.
Yeah, it's like way before the boss fight. It's just this one random spot, and you can see him and just pop him in the head. Game over. You don't ever have to fight him again. It's like the craziest little secret.
701 times to do that.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. You just got to kill the end. That's all you got to do.
Now, this might have been.
Cool.
I think this was like the first Metal Gear Solid. I don't know if they did in any of the other ones, but I remember for me it was very hard to do now. Maybe everyone else can do it like no problem because they're better than games than I am. But if you shoot the exclamation point that appears above the enemy's head when they first notice you, they'll fall unconscious.
Oh, really?
That's cool. I thought that was kind of just funny.
Okay.
That's what I've heard. I've never been able to do it myself.
I've never done that.
But I've heard you can do that. And I think that's pretty funny.
That's cool.
That's interesting.
But it's only up there for like a split second, so you got to like really
you got to really
do it.
Yeah. So
I'm sure it's probably on YouTube at this point too.
So that's your tips and tricks, and we have thoroughly covered every iteration of this game, even the side games. Please let us know what you think of the iterations of your favorite parts of Metal Gear. what you didn't like about it, what you did like about it, please share in the comments down below. And if you have any questions about the game, again, strategies, whatever else have you, please feel free to ask questions and let us know, hit us up. We'll be more than willing to help get you out of that stuck position. I have a small little giveaway before we go. Just thinking about some of the other games that I've played around the same time that I played Metal Gear for the first time. And I found this awesome Double Dragon plug and play.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow, that's
Oh,
pretty
cool.
sick.
Yeah, so you could just plug this into your TV and you'll be playing. I think it has both the NES and the arcade versions of Double Dragon.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so
Cool.
check it out and let us know what your favorite Metal Gear is, and we'll pick somebody and give them a Double Dragon plug and play.
Nice.
Nice.
Sick. Very
And if
cool.
no one
Very
claims
generous.
it, I'll take it.
A little reward for sharing your gaming knowledge with us. And that does it for this episode of Amalga Gamia. I've been the boy wonderful Ian Wallace with the guys from Retro Ridoctopus, and we will see you on the next episode.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.